there, Tyler Moore, my office in TNG's Music Studios in Worthington, Ohio. Doing this video today to explain a program that I am starting. The program is called Off the Page. This program is for middle schoolers and high schoolers, kids with a couple of years experience playing, string players, violin, viola, cello, bass for now, who are interested in learning music by ear. Okay, so why? Around that age, in my life, I was playing in orchestra, taking private violin lessons, and I loved it. Orchestra was by far my favorite class. But I found myself learning or trying to learn new music, different genres, different styles at home, sometimes instead of practicing. And by the time I was done with high school, I had 3 or 4 James Taylor albums, Billy Joel, Boyz II Men, the radio. I had a lot of music committed to memory, but I didn't have a group to play in, and I had no resources. There was no one else doing what I was doing in my area at that time. So it wasn't until after college that I really found other people that would allow me to play what I had learned. So the program is designed for kids like me who love orchestra, but are interested in learning other stuff by ear. Okay, the program will allow kids to learn new music by ear and arrange performances of that music. Okay, important to point out here that this is not a competition. It's not note reading versus learning music by ear. Point out that I have a degree in violin performance. I teach traditional classical violin lessons, and I can say unequivocally that being able to read music is extremely important. Maybe not the most important, but up there as far as skills for a musician to have. Okay? But if you can learn music by ear, some doors open up for you. Okay? It's one of those things where you can read music, you can learn music by ear, and oftentimes if you can do one or the other, you're in okay shape. But if you have both in your pocket, you have a distinct advantage over other players. There have been times where I was playing with ear-trained musicians who were presented with sheet music and were at a complete loss. And there have been times where I've been playing in a performance where most of the music was written, but some of it was not, and there was some improvisation that needed to be done, and those musicians were at a loss. So in my professional career, I have found these skills both useful. And it should be said, too, that I have my degree in violin performance. Currently, my professional playing career is Irish and rock. Okay, I did about 12 years in orchestras, and I got out of it just because. And now I use a lot of that ear training stuff. Okay, so let's just take a look at the topic of reading music versus learning music by ear. Okay, pros and cons. Sheet music. Okay, obvious pro here is everything you need to know about the music technically is right there. Notes, rhythms, often the dynamics, often the bowings, if you're a string player. Okay? So if there's a question about what note to play and what measure on what beat, it's right there in front of you, and you can access that information immediately. Okay? Con is that, as many of us, if not all of us, have experienced in our life, what is read is not always how the person meant it to sound. Okay? So even with instructions, sometimes that music doesn't come off the way it was expected or hoped or planned, right? So being able to use your ear to hear a version of it or to guide the process is important. Okay, pros and cons of learning music by ear. Obvious con is that to learn something by ear, someone else who already knows the music either has to be there to replay it for you, or it has to have already been recorded by someone so that you can access it. Not everything has been recorded, and not everyone who knows a piece is willing to sit there and just play for you. Another con for written music is that sometimes you want to learn a piece from a group that isn't as well known, and their music isn't available in sheet music. So sometimes the only way to learn a song is by doing it by ear. So for those people who have learned music by ear, this next part is going to seem relatively boring. I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of what this class will do and what I expect and how I will approach things. What I have lined up here is a tune that a student wants to learn, and I'm going to end up writing this down, but I got to figure it out first. So I've got it queued up. It happens to be a tune. It's by an Irish group, and because of that, I'm relatively familiar with the style. So even though I'm not completely familiar with the song, with the tune, I will likely pick parts of this up quicker because I'm familiar with the genre. But I've got it queued up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a couple of things first. Start slow. Identify small things. Build. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need my first pitch. So you're going to hear the tail end of the previous tune into the tune that I'm trying to write, and I'm going to have to identify what the first note is. Then I'm going to try to identify the first couple of notes. And then I'm going to try to identify the first phrase. So once I get started here, I'm not really going to stop and explain it because it's fairly organic. So there'll be a lot of starting and stopping. And I won't do too much of this because I don't want this to be a hugely long video. So maybe 4 or 5 minutes of me trying to do this, try to keep it close to 10 minutes-ish. All right, so here we go. I'm going to give this a shot and try not to embarrass myself too much. So we're about 10 minutes. So I'm going to stop on this, but you can kind of get a sense of what the process is and what I'm doing. All right? I'll do a couple more of these and we'll see how it goes. But let me know what you think of the concept idea, what you think of the tune I'm learning, whatnot. Thanks for listening.